So today, I just want to say hi, everyone, and welcome to my live book reading and of Chapter 7, Tempting Green Olives. But first, I have a special hi to someone whose birthday is today, and I'm sure that you guys all know exactly who I'm talking about. So I just want to say hi and happy birthday to Captain Tom, and I think that you are absolutely awesome. You've really touched my heart. You've really inspired me, as I know you have inspired so many people. And I just want to say, Captain Tom, you are the ultimate determined dreamer. So you are the perfect example of a determined dreamer for all of us. And I just love the way that you have set your heart on something, and you just wanted something small. You just wanted to make a small difference, and it was brilliant. Even just making that small difference for £100 or £1,000 would have been awesome. And you just went above and beyond, and I love it. And I think people supported you because of your heart and because of your humility and the way that you just went about this. So I thank you that you just remind so many of us that if we have a dream and a goal and we just are determined to achieve it, that we can do great things and we can help others. So thank you, Tom, for reminding us how to be a determined dreamer. So welcome, everyone. And if I didn't already say, my name is Beth Shepherd, and I'm the author of these books, and I'm working on my third book, and The Revenge of the Thug Slugs. So you'll find out all about the Thug Slugs when we get to the second book. So I'm sure we will be getting to the second book soon. So I just want to say today we're going to be reading Tempting Green Olives. I don't know if you guys have ever tried an olive, but I love olives. Actually, this morning, I have to say, I opened the fridge and a jar of olives accidentally fell out and smashed all over the floor and had to throw them away. So I'm very sad, and Ernie would be sad too, to have wasted so many good olives. But let me just recap, if you are watching this for the first time or you have just forgotten a little bit about what's happening to Ernie. So in the beginning, he woke up splat in a soggy, rotten avocado. I love avocados. I think a lot of you guys probably don't like avocados, but maybe one day you will. They're really good for you. Anyway, he wakes up splat inside one of those, and then the chapter goes on, or the next chapters go on to say how Ernie found himself in that avocado. And we found out that he set off in his dream, and he went into a box of veggies, and thinking it was all going to be so perfect and so easy. But it wasn't, because life isn't always like that. And sometimes we have challenges, and those challenges can be awesome because they make us who we are. They make us stronger, just like Captain Tom. So Ernie thinks it's going to be easy, but it isn't. And he ends up not where he had planned to be. And he ends up in a veggie market and put in someone's kitchen. And then strangely, he's plucked off the vegetable from the fridge and put on a plant pot in someone's house. And in the last chapter, we met the slightly cheeky, or the really cheeky, Captain Pablo, who really loves winding him up and calling him a slug. And he is not a slug. And I can imagine snails do not like being called slugs. It's probably a huge insult to snails. So he has discovered in the last chapter that he is a pet. And he is horrified to be a pet. He doesn't want to be a pet. He wants to be free. So he decides that that's it. He's going after his dream. But just as he has inspired and encouraged himself to keep going, there before him lands a giant jar of green olives. Let's have a look. So his favorite. So can Ernie still continue with his dreams, or is he just going to settle for a comfy life with a giant jar of green olives? Let's find out. Many days had passed, and in between fighting off the fly, who had found his way back in through the window, Ernie had been enjoying tucking into green olives day and night. He hadn't forgotten about his dream. And was still determined to reach them, but he had convinced himself that it was okay to finish at least half the jar. Sorry, guys, I just need to clean. That's it. I think you guys couldn't see me. I had a sticky mark on the camera. That's better. So, but he had convinced himself that it was okay to finish at least half the jar before he went in search of his dreams. I think that sounds a little bit like he is settling for his comfy life. Let's see if he doesn't settle. After all, it wasn't every day that he was able to take advantage of a lifetime supply of his favorite food. Imagine a lifetime supply of your favorite food. I wonder if you would be tempted to just stay and enjoy that. I'm sure you wouldn't, because you guys are all determined dreamers like Tom. As the days went on, he secretly began to enjoy this new life, and the thought of escaping became less urgent. Life as a pet was beginning to be more tempting than facing another journey into the unknown. So Ernie was now a little bit scared. What if, just like when he set off for the vet in the box of vegetables and thinking he's going to be taken to the river, he ended up somewhere else, and now it's making him feel like, I don't want to try that again. So if I try it again, what if something happens? So he's beginning to let a little bit of fear get in the way of pursuing his dreams. However, with every olive he ate, he found it increasingly harder to fit inside his small shell. Ernie was getting bigger. As he stared at the reflection of his bulging belly in the window, he frowned. Your slugs are crazy, buzzed the fly as he flew irritatingly around Ernie's head. You keep eating olives, you'll start looking like Olive, he said as he laughed in Ernie's ear. Ernie tried to swat him, but it was no good. He was way too out of shape. So just a little reminder, that's Captain Pablo on the back wall there, the original drawing. So it's brilliant to have some of these. Something has got to be done, he mumbled to himself, watching his belly wobble as he prodded it with his tentacles. That's okay. Soon you go pop. Then there'll be more olives for me, buzzed the fly. Ernie began to feel dizzy as he followed the fly while it spun in fast circles around his tentacles. That's it, Ernie shouted. I am going on snail boot camp. He's going to get fit, he's decided. Desperately, he looked around the kitchen for a training area big enough. Immediately, his eyes landed upon the dreaded big white box. He shuddered with fear. But as he could not think of a better option, he decided that it was time to overcome his fridge phobia. Good on him, hey? And use it for his training ground. Either that, or he would spend a lifetime being harassed by an annoying fly. So Ernie has decided to overcome one of his fears. That fear is of the big white box, which we know is the fridge. Good on him. Phew, he said, as he puffed and panted his way through the 9th lap. Can you imagine 9 laps as a snail? Only one more to go. He was barely able to get his words out. You're nearly there, amigo. But you'll never be fast as me. I am super fast. Look, I fly like lightning. Oh, now you see me? Now you don't. Oh, can you see me? No, I too fast for your ugly eyes. Ernie rolled his eyes, trying to ignore him. You eat too much, and you're too wobbly to be speedy. Mr. Gonzalez, up, 2, 3, 4. Keep it up, 2, 3, 4. This boot camp is a good idea. You can call me Captain Pablo. Ernie used all the energy he had to slide faster in an attempt to get away from him. By the time he had finished his workout, he was so exhausted that he didn't even notice his owners opening the fridge door. Caught off guard, the strong, icy wind came howling over the top and swept him high in the air. He hovered for a few seconds and then came plummeting back down, heading straight for the big gap between the fridge and the wall. Ah! He screamed as he fell into the darkness. Frantically, his tentacles squirmed in all directions, trying desperately to find something to hold on to. At last, they hooked over a wire and grabbed it tightly. Oh, guys, I just realized I haven't shared any pictures. Just have a look. So there's Ernie being irritated by the annoying fly. There's him hanging. Don't want you to see the next bit. Hanging over the wire with his tentacles. Okay, let's find out. You might have already guessed it if you saw the picture. Swinging in the air, he caught his breath. Crumbs! That was a close call. As he looked down at the long drop below him, something in the dark depths caught his eye. I wonder what it is. It seemed to be the shell of a snail. Ernie's heart began to beat wildly with excitement as he held tightly onto the wire. "Hello," he shouted, but there was no answer. He pulled himself further along until he could see more clearly. And to his amazement, he saw hundreds of snails. Ernie couldn't believe it. A whole snail family. "It's great to meet you. My name is Ernie," he called out again. But still there was no answer. Ernie was so puzzled that he didn't even notice his tentacles beginning to slip off the wire. And just as he was about to call out again, he fell. "Help!" he yelled as he hurtled down into the darkness and crashed onto the shells. I wonder what's happened to Ernie. There was a deadly silence. Something wasn't right. The hollow noise the shells made when he landed on them gave Ernie an eerie feeling in the pit of his stomach. He began to feel very uneasy. Bravely, Ernie looked inside one shell after another, and what he saw made his heart stop. They were all empty. Everywhere, more than he could count, empty snails were piled high and gathering dust behind the fridge. This meant only one thing. Wonder if you can guess. Dead snails, and hundreds of them. "No!" Ernie yelled at the top of his lungs. The truth hit him like a large brick, and he realized that he had been weak and easily tempted. How could I have allowed myself to enjoy being a pet? He felt so stupid. I thought I was stronger than this. He couldn't believe that he had put his dreams to one side just to eat olives. "If I stay here, I will just end up as nothing more than an empty snail shell behind the fridge in some human's house," he said, feeling angry with himself. So I wonder if you can guess. So what the humans have kept him for? Unfortunately, not a pet, but to have him as a delicious, tasty snail with a bit of garlic. I'm not sure that's really what Ernie wants. I wouldn't want to eat a snail. Anyway, that's not it. This is not my dream, and this is not what I am going to settle for. As quickly as he could, he slid across the shelves and stuck himself onto the side of the fridge. Now Ernie is really determined to leave, and he doesn't care what he faces on his journey. He has decided it's better than staying where he is. So Ernie is really ready for his dream. The top was so far away he could barely see it. He had never traveled that far before. But somehow he managed to slide to the top and down the other side and onto the windowsill in record time. That must have been very fast for a snail. It was as if he had gained supernatural strength. Once he reached his plant, he slid inside his house and began packing his stuff into his rucksack. It was time to start his new life of freedom. And he decided that whatever challenges lay ahead of him on his journey, he was prepared to face them bravely and boldly. Finally, he was ready, and he felt more determined and stronger than ever. Wow, so I love this part. I love this chapter. It really teaches us that even if we feel afraid to do something, it's just so good if we give it a try. If we find that determination in our hearts and we just do it anyway, and we trust that no matter what challenges we face, we can overcome them if we just keep on trying. So thank you, Ernie, for teaching us that amazing lesson, and thank you, Tom, for teaching us that as well. So I have a great activity for you guys today. It's one that I think I'd like to do myself. So I want you to write a news report. I love news reports. They are great fun to write. So I want this one to be about, let's have headline, news report, snail shells found behind the fridge. Okay, and you can decide, what is that about? What is your report? Maybe there is no conclusion at the end of the report. There is no answer. It's just a mystery. I quite like mysteries. So you could also have local police snails are investigating it, and it remains a mystery. And Ernie, you could have Ernie is being interviewed. So you could add in there some dialogue. What does Ernie say? How he feels. Could be, yes, I fell down behind the fridge and I was horrified to find out that humans are doing this to snails. Or maybe you don't say what it is that they're doing. We leave it as a mystery. That's your choice. It's your work. Okay, so I would love to see that work. I think it's going to be awesome. So my author tip for you guys today is dialogue. So I love dialogue in stories. And dialogue is a brilliant way of moving your story forward. So sometimes it just changes the feeling of the story when you add in speech. So in case you didn't know, dialogue means speech. So when your characters are speaking in your story. So instead of just saying something that happens, could you have it that your characters talk about what happens? And so you are saying the same thing as just writing it, but you are saying it through the conversation of your characters. So don't forget, writing dialogue has some grammar rules, and they are quite tricky, so you have to be very careful. So once you've done it, always go back and check over to make sure you've got all the grammar and punctuation in the right way. Punctuation, sorry. So you've got the speech marks and the commas in the right place. And you need to really check over those rules, the punctuation rules, because they are tricky to remember. So I know, you guys will do it fantastically. So I would love to see some speech in your news reports. So please feel free to send them to me, and I would love to share them in the next the next few readings that I do. So thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day, and be inspired to be a determined dreamer. And I'll see you on Tuesday for our next chapter. Take care. Bye.